Can stress cause aches and pains? That is a great question. If you have been suffering with aches and pains and life looks a little bit stressful, you may have been wondering if stress is to blame, especially if you've tried everything and you are getting no lasting relief yet. If that sounds like you, then you're in the right place. In today's video, I'm here to answer that question, so let's get started. Hi, I'm Dr. Kelly Shockley, Doctor of Cause Chiropractic, board certified in sports medicine, specialized in clinical nutrition. In this video, we're going to be going over why your survival mechanism that is meant to keep us alive could ultimately be damaging your health. Then we'll discuss some of the most common presentations of stress in its physical form on the body. And guess what? You don't even have to feel stressed in order for this to be occurring. And finally, I will be sharing with you 4 ways to keep stress in check so you can start living a more pain-free life immediately. Let's dive right on in. Is your survival mechanism damaging your health and leaving you with huge amounts of aches and pains? Here's the thing. We need to talk about this. Your survival mechanism is your flight or fight response. You may have heard that. This is generally it is a survival response that has been built into us when we're dealing with stress. So back in the day, say we were back here when the saber-toothed tiger existed, if you came across a saber-toothed tiger, you were going to either puff up and fight the guy or hightail it to safety. Your body kicked into this flight or fight mode to help you be able to do that. And it's critical. It is our survival mechanism. But then, once the episode was over or you got to safety, your body would come back out of that flight or fight mode and go back to normal functioning. There's a lot that happens in normal functioning that is not occurring when the body's in flight or fight response. So here's the challenge. I don't know about you, but I think life looks a little stressful. And that stress is not going away anytime soon in this world. So ultimately what that means is instead of having periodic, temporary episodes of stress and kicking us into this flight or fight mode, we now have more continual episodes that it's like one thing right after the next, sometimes it seems, where we're in this survival response. So here's the issue with that. When you're in flight or fight mode, your body produces more of a stress hormone called cortisol. And part of the reason why it's doing that is because purely being in this flight or fight response starts to increase inflammation in your body. And guess what is the cause of aches and pains? Inflammation. So cortisol is being released to try to help manage the inflammatory response that's happening now in your body as a result of being in flight or fight. And as we have continued episodes of flight or fight or chronic levels of stress that are creating more need for our body to produce more and more cortisol to try to manage this inflammation, eventually our body just isn't as responsive anymore. And we continue to produce inflammation as a result. There's other devastating things that happen to our health at the same time of when we're constantly staying in this flight or fight mode. But that is ultimately one of the underlying issues that happens when we are dealing with stress. It creates inflammation. Inflammation is not only the root cause of all disease and illness, but it is the reason why you're feeling aches and pains. Did you know that that's what happens every single time you encounter a stress, no matter how big or how small? Let me know your response down in the comments below. So what are the symptoms of stress as it appears in your body? Many people say, well, I don't feel stressed, right? Have you ever heard yourself saying that? So stress can be deceiving. I want to share with you how this can manifest at times in your body. So a really common area that people carry stress in the body is in the neck and the shoulders. So this is a physical presentation of stress. Generally, that is experiences tension between the shoulder blades that runs up into the base of the skull. And sometimes when it gets really bad, it can create a headache that kind of wraps around like horns from a bighorn sheep. It's called a tension headache. Or there are times where we can have low back pain as a result of stress. It's interesting being a chiropractor. I do have a lot of patients who know where they carry stress, and it's either in the neck or it's in the low back. But part of what also aggravates this is we live in a time where we sit at a desk. Sitting is the worst thing for your low back. And being in front of a computer and however things are set up, not great for the neck either. While working and what you're having to handle may be stressful, the position is a different form of stress, but it is stressful still on the body. Something that people don't even think of is as you're driving, you're commuting back and forth, being in a vehicle, again, you're seated again, you can get tension in the low back or even in the neck and the shoulders as a result of having to deal with traffic or people that are not driving intelligently on the road. And then another common, very common presentation of stress in the body has everything to do with any digestive type of symptom you could experience. Whether it is, kind of like acid reflux, to intense abdominal pain, to gas, bloating, diarrhea for sure, and even constipation. Those very much so could be manifesting as a result of stress in the body. There's more to the story than that, but those are the most common aches, pains that stress can create. Now, before I get into 4 easy ways that you can keep stress in check and start living a more pain-free life immediately, I just want to remind you to click that subscribe button down below and turn the notifications on. I am publishing videos every Monday through Friday, everything to do with how to live a pain-free life, to improving gut health, brain health, everything to help you achieve what I like to call total body mastery. So make sure you click the subscribe button and turn the notifications on so you don't miss out. Awesome. What are the 4 easy ways to keep stress in check and have you start living a more pain-free life? Well, easy tip number 1, we have to pinpoint the stressors and figure out how to manage them. Unfortunately, I don't have a cure-all for making us invincible to stress, and I don't believe that it's going away anytime soon. So while we can't make stress disappear, we can learn how to respond more favorably and how to manage it. Being able to know what kind of your triggers are, what's setting you off, and then coming up with a solution of how can you make that experience, that process, be less volatile is huge. And maybe there's a circumstance where that's not, at least conceptually, very doable. Okay, that's fine. What's the counter, management technique that we're going to put in there? If you're at work and things are getting really intense and you can feel your chest tightening up and your neck and your back and you're feeling a little short of breath and a bit anxious, you may not be able to just leave and take a walk and say, see ya, I'm out of here. But maybe you could excuse yourself to the restroom and just go there or somewhere else where you could be by yourself and just take a couple of nice, slow, controlled, deep belly breaths. Just a couple of deep belly breaths, a couple of minutes worth, can start easing the tension, immediately in your neck, your back, your stomach, wherever you're feeling it. So there's not really an excuse for not having time to do something to manage stress, because it could be as simple as a couple of minutes of deep breathing. It could also be meditation if that works for you, and if you feel comfortable doing that, or if you know how to do that. It could be going for a walk. There was a research study done by UCLA that showed just a 10-minute walk was enough to decrease stress and improve your outlook on life. That can last for at least 2 hours after that 10-minute walk. The key is we have to identify what triggers us and then find a solution to either counter it, to make the situation less volatile, or a way that we can manage stress better and keep that in our daily routine. Stress management techniques are something that we need to do daily because we encounter different levels of stress on a regular basis. So consistency with those techniques is critically important. Treat it as you would an appointment with a client. You wouldn't no-show. You wouldn't just cancel last minute. You would show up. So show up for yourself and do some of these self-care stress management techniques. Number 2, when it comes to easy ways to keep stress in check, exercise. Exercise is huge, guys. It is by far the best way to stop stress in its tracks. And as I was just mentioning, with a walk, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Now, there's a reason why exercise works so well. And yes, it requires some work from us, but it is the reward that is so worth it. When you exercise, whether that's dancing around your house, running after kids, chasing a dog, going to the actual gym, kickboxing, it doesn't matter. Any kind of physical activity can constitute as exercise. What happens is your body starts to release what are known as endorphins. These are your pain-killing hormones, okay? This is the best way to reduce pain. They're the most potent, strongest painkiller out there. Think of the end of that word as morphine. Endo means within. So this is your morphine that your body produces from within. So not only is it going to help to reduce your pain, but then there's another component of this that works against stress, and this stress hormone, cortisol, that might be in abundance in your system. When cortisol is in abundance, that also creates problems. So when endorphins are in the body, it does not allow the body to utilize the cortisol, which inherently drops the cortisol level naturally. So exercise is huge, and it doesn't have to be for hours. If you can only sneak in 10 minutes here and there, that's far better than you doing nothing. And again, according to that UCLA research study, about 10 minutes of walking is enough to change your outlook on life for 10 minutes or for 2 hours. It also is enough then to get those endorphin going to give you a natural pain-killing, weapon from within for at least the 2 hours. So add exercise back into your world if you're not doing it already. Easy strategy number 3 is eating healthy. If aches and pains are the result of inflammation, what you put into your mouth could help to reduce the inflammation or crank up the fuel on that fire. The foods that are really good at cranking up the fire and increasing inflammation are all the foods you shouldn't be eating already. The processed, the refined goods, everything that's high in sugar. Sugar is the best way to create inflammation in the body. It is your fire starter. So if you start minimizing the amount of all of those types of foods we should not be eating, especially sugars, you're going to start turning down the level of inflammation that's in your body. Then bonus, if you start incorporating foods that are really good for reducing inflammation, you can squash out the fire that much more quickly and start having less aches and pains as a result. A couple of examples of this would be coconut oil, grass-fed butter, blueberries, all of the cruciferous vegetables, which is like your broccoli, cabbage, kohlrabi, the things that we know are really healthy for us that occur in nature and haven't been altered from their state of how you find them in nature, really good at reducing inflammation. So add more of that in and avoid sugar and processed and refined and fried foods like the plague. And then easy tip number 4, decrease the amount of alcohol and caffeine. Not always the easiest for people, but we need to talk about the reality here. As far as alcohol goes, you guys, it's just sugar. So we were just saying that sugar is the best fire starter for inflammation in the body. Alcohol is identical. Okay. So you may notice I like to come home and have a glass of wine to just kind of kick back and relax, and it kind of numbs your senses. But the next morning, you might realize you feel even worse. Besides the fact that it increases inflammation in the body, it also dehydrates you. And when you dehydrate the body, you dehydrate muscles and all of the joints, it can amplify the amount of discomfort that you have, the amount of stiffness and tension that you feel. So that's another reason why you want to decrease the amount of alcohol you're consuming. Honestly, there's very minimal good health benefits that result from you consuming alcohol. Okay, so reducing that as much as possible would be the ideal. And then caffeine, there's so much controversy around caffeine. I'm sure you probably get frustrated just like I do, oh yeah, this much is good for brain health. And we found that people who drink 2 to 4 cups actually had better memory and longevity. But then on the other side, it's actually, if you drink more than 2 cups in a day, it's super stressful. It doesn't allow you to sleep at night. It creates more stress in your body, puts you into more of this survival mechanism. So ultimately, it is a stimulant, okay? And it is going to challenge and stress the body. There are other ways to promote brain health, so don't let that be the only reason why you want to continue consuming coffee or caffeine in and of itself. Know it's stressful, and know that one of the areas it stresses out the most are the adrenal glands. And the adrenal glands are responsible for creating cortisol. So if you're stressing them out, you're going to really mess up this whole process of how your body is responding to stress, and you could totally amplify it, which will not work in your favor whatsoever. Now, if you're really serious about getting rid of aches and pains, and you need a surefire way to be able to do that, then I want to invite you to my health challenge. You can gain access to that by clicking the description down below this video. It will click on it so it expands, and you will see a link in there for my 5-day health challenge. Now, this does not take completely 5 days to get through. I promise I'm not sitting here talking to you for hours. It's little snippets, and there's a bit of homework for you to do. The reason why would be imperative for you to come attend if you really want to get rid of your aches and pains is because you really need to understand what's causing them. Maybe it's inflammation, but why are you inflamed? Is it really because of diet or, lack of exercise or not, or consuming too much alcohol or caffeine? Or is there something else going on beneath the surface that could be actually creating that problem? Really quickly, body robs Peter to pay Paul. Ultimately, what that means is there are tissues in the body that the body will sacrifice if nutrient demands are not being satisfied for key areas in the body, which are basically your organs. So if your heart's not getting all the nutrients it needs, it may actually break down your muscles, your bones, your cartilage, your connective tissue, your joints, in order to give nutrients to the heart so that it can function and you can live. By the end of this health challenge, what you're going to know is exactly how to determine what is causing your aches and pains so you can put an end to them once and for all. And within this challenge, you will also have a complete total body, health roadmap. So you know exactly the direction you need to go to reclaim your health and to stop living life in pain and agony. So again, just find the link down in the description below. It's called the 5-Day Health Challenge, and I can't wait to see you on the inside. You will get immediate access and so much goodness out of that information. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. Comments are great. Feedback, I always appreciate that. And I just really appreciate you being here. Take care and God bless.